Hey there. Do you like manga? Yeah, of course you do. You freaking weeb. Great! So do I! I love it. Now, do you like queer manga? If so, I've got quite a treat for you. Oh wow, yeah, that is a lot, and it goes all the way down. You can't even see. Wow. As you just saw, I have a large collection of queer manga, whether it's gay, lesbian, asexual, whatever. I have a wide number of series, and I'd like to talk about them with you all today. Now, if you want me to go in depth on any of the series you see in this video, please leave a comment down below saying which one and why, I guess, if you want to. You don't have to explain yourself, though. It's fine to just say, hey, talk about this, and I'll try to do that. Honestly, I wanted to talk about several of these series for a very long time, and it's just been hard to figure out what exactly to say. So I figured I would kind of force myself into a corner by showing these books and giving my audience, or whoever watches this, the chance to say, hey, talk about that book. Come on, don't be lazy, just do a damn video. And I will. Even if I end up with not that much to say, after all, it'll still be good to talk about this series because all of these feature queer characters to some capacity. And I don't have all the books that feature queer characters, not by any means. I don't know that I want to. Just because it has one queer character isn't necessarily enough for me to be interested in it, but it is a good starting point. Anyways, let's get started. First series I'm going to talk about is Xgender. Only has 2 volumes, so it's real easy to get them. And it is a very interesting look at what it is to be non-binary in Japan and right on the cusp of the COVID-19 pandemic, because it's actually an interesting story. The first volume is really good. It's really fantastic, where the author, Asuka Miyazaki, is talking about realizing that even though they are non-binary or Xgender, which is more of a term used in Japan than in the States, which is where I am, they also like women. And so, because they were assigned female at birth, and sometimes they outwardly present as a woman, the way most people would see. And let's remember, Japan isn't necessarily the most progressive society, not to say that America is either, but so yeah, they dress like a woman sometimes, are seen as a woman. So the best way to find someone that they want to be with is actually to go to queer events or just plain lesbian events and hook up with a woman. So this volume details that struggle along with a large story about a friend that Asuka had who ended up, not being a gay woman and went off and got married to a man and had a child, and Asuka's feelings of jealousy and abandonment because of that, feeling like I thought we were the same. And the author, doesn't come across as a great person, but that's fine because nobody's perfect. So by the end of the volume, the author does learn and grow and become more accepting and less full of themselves, honestly. This book is also great because it talks a lot about dysphoria or dysmorphia. I always get those confused, so please don't attack me just because of it. I'm dumb sometimes. But Asuka doesn't like their body. There are certain parts of it that are just not good, hate it, and not a whole lot can be done about it, at least not for Asuka. So it's really informative. It can really tell a person who doesn't know about this what it's like to have a body that, doesn't necessarily disgust you every moment of every day, but is a body you don't like. Is a body that's very hard to get along with, and you would change it in a heartbeat if you could. Another thing Asuka brings up is just some of the weird stuff that we teach kids and in society, how we handle things like gender and sexuality and various normal things of life that we don't really talk about openly. And again, this is from a Japanese perspective, but it's things I've seen in America as well. You know, just very simply the idea of like girls get periods, you know, well, people with uteruses, excuse me, get periods, and you just gotta deal with it, you know? Don't make it a big thing. It's just something that happens. And, you know, it's an interesting perspective from an interesting author. And like I said, the first volume is fantastic because it delves into Asuka examining this relationship with a friend, and also deals with Asuka discussing their body and their often negative feelings about it. Second volume, however, it's still good. It's still worth the read, especially if you want to hear more from Asuka. But COVID happened as this was being serialized. And because COVID happened, that meant the basis of the volumes, which was to find love as a not middle-aged, they're 33. Finding love as a 33-year-old non-binary person attracted to women in Japan. That was the basis of the series. COVID happened, can't really do that. So a lot of Volume 2 deals with just various thoughts Asuka has, which, to give a bit of a warning, includes antinatalism. Yes, antinatalism, which if you've heard of it, you may be thinking, oh my god, this is terrible, but give it a sec. So, Asuka agrees with the idea that maybe we shouldn't bring people into the world. Maybe we shouldn't give birth to people. But says definitively they don't disagree with people wanting to give birth. They just understand why someone would say, oh, don't have a child. So more about, like, Asuka saying they're okay with people who decide not to give birth, and that should be more accepted. It's definitely not calling for any kind of radical, change, or say people shouldn't have babies or anything like that. But, trigger warning, before you buy this and read it, it does talk about suicide. Particularly euthanasia. And it goes into the topic of people should be allowed to kill themselves if they want to. And as Asuka describes it, more than just an illness thing. Asuka basically says in this book, being queer is hard. Being in my body is hard for me, and there's no great way to change it. So, if I could kill myself humanely, safely, safe in the sense that it's going to happen, and in a way that doesn't trouble others, they would want to. That's really heavy stuff. And yes, this is a series written for adults, with the main character, the author, being a 33-year-old, but it's still a lot to take in. So, if you want to find out, life in Japan from a non-binary adult's perspective in an autobiographical way, you could check out Xgender. Just be aware, second volume is going to get into some really heavy stuff, and there is a lot to talk about. I do want to make a video about this. Actually, maybe 2 videos. One about Volume 1, one about Volume 2, to just discuss the myriad topics in each volume. Because it's a lot to take in. But yeah, if you're looking for a light, fluffy read, maybe just stick with Volume 1. If you want to get into the real harsh reality of how some people feel being queer in a society that doesn't often help queer people and has few solutions, which again, Japan isn't as accepting as the US and some other countries are, so Asuka has fewer options. They're harder to come by as well. So that, colors their perspective. But still, it's a realistic look at things from a real person, but that doesn't make it easy to swallow sometimes. Alright, well, had a lot to say about Xgender. uh, let's move to something a little lighter, though not that much. Is love the answer? Which basically, character's asexual. I have not finished reading this. I started reading it, got a good bit into it, enjoy it. I really like the artwork of it. It looks great, but I just saw the other stuff came up. I haven't finished it. But yes, it's been recommended to me. I got it. I really like it, but I don't know that much about it. But if you want a story about an asexual main character, you should check this out too, because it's gotten a lot of really good reviews. So, yeah, it's just a high school girl who's never fallen in love or even had a crush on anyone. And despite people telling her, oh, you haven't met the right person, oh, it'll happen when it happens, all that stuff, she still feels like she's missing out on something, or that she is missing something, some part of herself. And then I believe she goes to college, or meets a professor at a college. I can't remember. Who basically says to her, no, it's cool. You don't have to love. You don't have to be in love. So, you know, it's definitely worth a shot because, and it even says it right here on the back of it, it doesn't just say she's asexual, it says she's aromantic asexual. Asexual, aromantic, however, whatever order you want to put it in. So she's aro-ace, which is a very important thing, a very important distinction that another series I'm going to talk about in a little bit doesn't do, but probably not out of malice, more of just not understanding. But yeah, is love the answer? Do plan to actually finish it someday soon. Let me know your thoughts about this, because I haven't read it all the way. You know, what do you think about it? Next up is Nagata Kabi, the only book of hers I own, although I've read many others. My Wandering Warrior Existence. For those who don't know, this author is pretty well known. What was it? First book, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, which was 2 volumes. And then there was another book about some heavy stuff, and then another one. She has gone through a lot, and she does these autobiographical manga about being gay, she has some body issues, but I believe has said she is a woman, doesn't want to be a man, but still isn't necessarily in love with her female body, but just has a number of issues, deals with anxiety and oppression. There's an entire volume of her work, an entire volume that deals with alcoholism and an eating disorder, I believe. That may be the same book, maybe a different book. But yeah, it's a real look, a real hard look as well, at some very real things that happen to people. And it can be tough to get through at times. You definitely feel for the author. You hate that she has to go through the stuff she goes through. But at the same time, you know she's not perfect. She is just a person living her life. She makes mistakes. She owns up to them most of the time. And I think by reading her books, you can really get a sense that she and all of us are just people. And sometimes we screw up. Sometimes we don't do great. But we're all still just people. That doesn't make us less than another person. But her books are also a great way of just seeing experiences you don't see in other media most of the time. For example, in this book, you see she's in a wedding dress. It's because she goes to a friend's wedding and decides she wants to have a wedding. She just one day wants to have a wedding. She's never really, thought about like getting married and all that stuff, but seeing the wedding puts it in her head, oh, this is what would make me happy, this is what I want to aim for. And it's not that simple. When the reality of the situation, she goes into it, she realizes things are almost never, as simple as they look from the outside. And it also deals with her constant struggle to love, to be loved by someone. And I wish all the best to this author. Clearly, she deals with a lot of problems, which a lot of people do. I'm not saying I don't. But she's putting herself out there. She's letting everyone know all the things she's going through, and I really respect her for that. And I love that she's letting people know that two people like her that exist. They exist. They're out there. It sounds like I'm talking in circles, but I don't know how else to say it, you know. People can read this and relate to her. And that's good because I know there are people that have similar experiences. So, you know, she's worth checking out. Like I said, her first work that got published, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, really went into a lot of issues with her mental health and how she wants to be loved. She's trying to find love. She doesn't quite know how to. She knows she likes women, and as a woman, that makes her a lesbian, and that makes things a lot more difficult. I'd like to get the other works eventually, but since I've read them before, they're easily available from my local library. I haven't really spent the money on them because I buy other books that aren't available. But yeah, check out Nagata Kabi. She has a lot of books out, and they're all really interesting. Oh, you all have a lot to say about this series. Our Dreams at Dusk. Got the first volume a while ago. Didn't want to make a video about it until I had the entire series. And I now have volume 2 and 3 and 4. I now have the entire series. So yes, I will read these and I will definitely make a video about this series at some point. Because even though I haven't read all of it, I know it's going to be something I'm going to have a lot to say about. Now, for those who haven't heard about this series, basically, main character is gay. A trans woman, I believe, appears at some point. There are some lesbians. There's a lot of representation here. A lot of queer representation. And if I'm not mistaken, the author, let's see their name. Shimanami Tasogare. Nope, that's the Japanese name of the book. Yuhki Kamatani, I believe, the author, is non-binary. So that's great. You know, a queer series written by a queer person, which is definitely what we need more of, both in English and in Japanese. And yeah, I can't wait to read them all and just let it all soak in and see how the story is. I've heard fantastic things about this, and I'm sure I'm going to love it. If you've already read it, just share your thoughts in the comments. I mean, say what you love most about it. You know, try not to give any spoilers or anything, but just say what you like about it. Because from what I've seen, a lot of people really like this series. Alright, what may be my current favorite series, She Loves to Eat and She Loves to Cook. Read that backwards. Doesn't matter. 3 volumes of this out so far, and they are all fantastic. It just gets better with each volume. I love it. I have a video about volume 1 out. You can go watch that if you haven't seen it yet. Basically, the shorter woman, she loves to cook stuff. She loves to cook these big meals especially, but she doesn't eat that much. But she finds out that her neighbor does eat a bunch and loves to eat. So, short girl cooks for tall girl. Sounds great, right? Except, oh, wait, there's also a whole, like, romantic thing between them. You get a lot of subtext, so much that it's not really subtext at all in Volume 1. And then Volume 2 comes along, and it dials it up to 10. Yeah, it's clear they got a thing for each other. And then Volume 3, the newest volume. Yeah, it's obvious. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they got together in Volume 4. I hope that's not a spoiler or anything. I mean, you read the first volume, it's pretty clear that's where it's heading. But another thing Volume 3 does that's fantastic is it introduces more characters, which I think one of them comes at the tail end of Volume 2. You get a character who doesn't really like to eat. And it approaches that subject, the idea of, I don't like eating that much. I especially don't feel comfortable eating in front of others. It approaches that topic with sensitivity and understanding, which is fantastic because it's a series that mostly showcases food. I mean, there are a ton of great images of recreations of food. And while it doesn't make me hungry, because I'm not a big fan of food either, I mean, if it's pizza, I like it, but that's about it. It's still a compelling series. Besides, honestly, any women-loving women series, particularly that doesn't take place in high school, because a lot of Yuri is centered around high school, I'm all about. It's just something I love so much. It's such a big interest of mine. So yeah, she loves to cook and she loves to eat. 3 volumes out right now. Definitely check it out if you want some more slice of life sort of thing. It does kind of talk about the idea of sexism to some degree and what it is to just be women, but it doesn't go in it too heavy, and there's not really there's not much upsetting stuff. It's fantastic. Some of the volumes will sometimes have, before a chapter, a trigger warning to show, hey, this thing's going to come up. And none of it's that severe, but it's still very important to remember that some people may come across stuff that they can't handle at a particular time or just don't want to deal with, you know? And they may be reading this light, fluffy series and not be expecting it. They see that warning, it tells them, oh, okay, maybe I skip this, or I go in prepared at least. Because if you're prepared, you're still a lot better off than if you weren't expecting it at all. But yeah, very nice series. Okay, here's a series I have not read yet. Haven't read anything about it. I saw it at a used bookstore, and nabbed them because I thought, I've got to have this. I've heard about it, but don't know much about it. Boys Run the Riot. I have 3 volumes here. I'm not sure how many volumes are available. Not sure if it's ongoing or not still. Don't really know much about it, except the main character is a trans man. And that's interesting. That's a very interesting concept. And something I don't know if I've ever honestly seen before. A person who is actually openly transgender, which, not openly in the sense of the story, but who the author says is transgender. Because with anime and manga, you do get a lot of, oh, well, this person is probably, but they don't say it. Here, it says it. It says it right on the back of it. High schooler Ryo knows he's transgender. Boom. Just like that. That's fantastic. So, I think it's about these characters starting a fashion line, but don't really know much about it. It's interesting just immediately for having queer representation. The art does look very good. It's very clean. I'm not much of an artist, so I can't describe art that well, but it's pleasing to look at. And, any series about fashion that I've come across, anime or manga, typically, almost always, actually always, except for this, and when they deal with fashion, it's women's fashion. It's pretty dresses, that kind of thing. This deals with men's fashion. That's cool. Because even though I'm not that interested in it, it's something I haven't seen before. So I'm really interested to take a look at this series, see how it is, and see how things are handled in it. I've heard great things about it as well. So maybe I'll make a video about that before too long. Alright, another 3 volumes. Why are there so many 3 volumes? It's like a magic number. But this is My Androgynous Boyfriend. And yes, that's a boy. Because why not? Very pretty boy. So, my girlfriend got these volumes for me last year for Christmas, I believe. And I thought about making a video about this series, but honestly, I didn't really know what to say about it because it's kind of queer representation, but it also isn't. Because the main character and a couple other characters, they're boys. They're not trans. They're not queer. They're just boys who look pretty, who look androgynous. And it actually deals with their fashion models. And it deals with what I believe in Japan is known as the genderless movement, which pushes for aesthetics and fashion that isn't concerned with what's for, quote, men and what's for, quote, women, So you see the main character, wearing a feminine outfit, what many would call a feminine outfit, and just looking, and some of the other characters, looking very pretty, but, it's about fashion, it's about looks, and those don't equate to sexuality. Those don't even necessarily equate to gender identity. So we have the androgynous boyfriend, but it's clearly boyfriend. Not trans, nothing like that. Not non-binary. Definitely identifies as a man, but looks very pretty and would be mistaken for a woman by a lot of people and all that stuff. So I do love how it dispels notions of gendered clothing and, oh, well, only women can wear lipstick or makeup or fingernail polish. It fights back against those ideas. And I'm all about fighting gender boundaries and, norms. Because it's like, we made this stuff up. We can change it at any time we want. Let's not hurt people by saying, oh, only girls can wear makeup or skirts or whatever. It's like, no. It's like the colorful hair. If you're a boy, if you identify as a boy and you still want to have rainbow hair, go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. So, the series does fight for the idea of you can still be masculine and look, quote, feminine. You can still be a boy, but a lot of people think you're a girl, and that's kind of their problem, But be proud of it. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of how you look, as long as you're looking the way you want to. So it's a very nice, sweet series. It's very slice of life. There isn't really an overarching plot, it seems. So it's less my thing because I like plot-heavy series. And yeah, I don't really know what to say about it, but it's worth a shot if you think it looks pretty and you just want to see some pretty boys, I guess. And fight gender norms. Another 3-volume series, although only 2 of them are available in English at the moment. I Want to Be a Wall. I love this series. I can't wait for the 3rd volume to come out, but at the same time, I am kind of dreading it because I know it's the end of it. There is no more. But who knows when or if, honestly, it'll even ever get released in English. Because it's been like a year and nothing's been said about it. This series I referenced earlier by saying that it describes its main character, this woman here, as asexual, when in reality she is aromantic, asexual. And from everything I've seen and heard, and from how it comes across in the book, it wasn't trying to be exclusionary or anything, but it seems that maybe in Japan, they don't have a word like aromanticism. So when they say asexual, it just kind of refers to all the possibilities, which, I'm not Japanese, I don't know, so I can't say for sure, but definitely the way it's written, translated, it doesn't seem like anyone has anything against aromantics or anything like that. They just didn't say the word. But yes, so the main character is asexual, aromantic, and she gets married to a gay man, a closeted gay man, to basically shut their families up. Now, I made a video about Volume 1, and a lot of people seemed confused. I saw a lot of comments talking about, well, why would you get married? Or maybe I read comments, reviews of the book online, but it made perfect sense to me because I understand from things I've seen and read about online that in Japan there's far more of an impetus to get married, that one's family may really pressure you and just keep saying when you're going to get married, you need to get married, all this stuff. And being openly gay or queer is harder there, at least in certain parts, So the characters get married to shut their families up, but also to have a chance at companionship, because the closeted gay man is in love with his childhood best friend, who doesn't seem to be gay. So, not a chance there. He's not going to end up with his one true love or anything, and he just can't bring himself to feel that way for anyone else, to even, chance feeling that way for anyone else. So, and of course, the woman, she's aromantic, asexual. She isn't going to fall in love with anyone. So they get married to also allow themselves a chance to have someone in their life that will be there for them, that will maybe help them out when they need it in a platonic way, that will be there to help them take care of the home. Things are just easier if there's two incomes, that sort of thing. It does make sense. It's a fake marriage, it's a show marriage, but they do also get very close to each other and become very good friends. They're both caring individuals, so it allows them to care for one another as if they are family, after some time. Volume 2, in particular, delves deeper into queer issues and what it is to be gay, what it is to be asexual and aromantic. And I remember there's a point where some of the characters even address the fact that the woman is a fujoshi, which is she's into boys' love. She likes, fake series where two men are together with each other. And this can often be seen as fetishizing being gay. And that's definitely a thing that can happen. There are people out there who do fetishize it. But it's addressed in here that not everyone who's into boys' love fetishizes it. Sometimes it's just something they like, and it shouldn't be used to just harass them or see them as lesser than. But yeah, it's been a while since I read it. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but very, very good book. I really want Volume 3 to come out in English. I want to read it. Don't know if it's ever going to happen, honestly. So, maybe it might never happen. I don't know if it got canceled in Japan, or if it just came to a natural conclusion. It didn't really seem, at the end of Volume 2, like it could be concluded in one more volume. So I kind of feel like it got canceled, which makes me very sad. But still, at least we got this. At least we got something with a gay main character and an aro ace main character. At least it's something. And it's very good. Alright, 2 volumes. This time it's completed. Until I Love Myself. And it's by, I don't want to get the name wrong. Poppy Pesuyama. And it even says here, the journey of a non-binary manga artist. Saw this in the store, had to grab it because non-binary manga, yay. It's another autobiographical series. And it really, it's hard to read at times. Not because of anything, it's because of the content. It's because the author deals with stuff that no one should have to deal with, and it's not the worst. It's not the worst stuff ever either, but it's still hard enough. It's bad enough. Stuff no one should ever have to deal with. So don't go into this looking for a light, comedic thing, or, oh, well, this is just my life, and, I have struggles, but it's all okay. It's not all negative, but it is hard to read at times. I've not finished the second volume, in fact, because I just had to put it down for a while. I do need to get back. I'll reread Volume 1 and then read Volume 2, because it does tell a continuing story about this person's life, an incident that happened in the past, and it's very interesting. It's a great perspective on things. As a person that was assigned male at birth, there are some parts of this that it enlightened me to things I wouldn't know about otherwise, because I wouldn't have those experiences, because the author was assigned female at birth. But it's still, if you're looking for representation as a non-binary person, this is very much it. It is a hard story to read, and it's a real story. It's true life. But there are things you will relate to in here. Whether you were assigned male at birth, assigned female at birth, known you were non-binary for most of your life, came into it as an adult, whatever, you will relate to some of this. And I think it's great because the first paragraph of the first volume says non-binary manga artist Poppy Pesuyama is excited when forums offer the option to choose neither for gender. And if you've had that experience, if you've had a forum and it's like, oh, male, female, and you're like, I wish there was a third one, or if you come across something and there's a third option, other, let alone if it actually says non-binary, if you're thrilled about that, you're probably going to like this series, these 2 volumes, as long as you're okay with dealing with a serious subject and knowing that life can work out okay even with struggles. But man, it's very heavy. It's just from the get-go, because it deals with harassment, sexual harassment, mistreatment, and just misgendering, all kinds of stuff. It's harsh at times, but it's well worth it. Let's get a not-so-serious series. The Girl That Can't Get a Girlfriend. Now, this is basically what it says. It's about a lesbian main character trying to find a girlfriend. The art is interesting. You can see a more anime style and then a more gag style. It's another autobiographical series. And I very much enjoyed it. It was a very sweet read. It was very easy to read. It goes by very quick. And I can't really remember too much to say about it because it's been a long time since I read it. But I thought it was really fun. It's really nice. It actually shows the main character, the woman, getting a girlfriend. I think getting a couple of girlfriends, I'm not sure. At least one. So it's not all her trying to find someone. It's actually talking about her having a girlfriend and how things work that way. So it's really cool. Check it out. It's got a great different art style. It doesn't look the way like every other book looks, and in all the best ways. Because the style will change. Some of it will be more detailed and descriptive, and then some other parts of it will look, like that, where it's just a couple of lines. But yeah, the author also apparently lives in the U.S. I forget where exactly. Just living abroad in the U.S., but Japanese manga artist. Very interesting. So check that out if you do want something that's light and simple and features a lesbian main character. Yay! Alright, let's get gay with it. How about that? Gay men, right? Yeah, go for it, Nakamura. This is fantastic. I really like this volume. There is a sequel volume to this that I have not read. I don't own it. Maybe one day, not sure. But this is about Nakamura, a high school boy that has a major crush on another kid in his class who doesn't seem to be gay, but that's life. But it's his attempts not to hook up with this boy, but to just be friends with him. Because, that's all he can hope for, right? Even if you can't be with the person you love romantically, you can at least be friends with them and be close to them, and that's something. But one of the things I really like about this, and I saw it in a review on Amazon, and that's the first thing that made me go, you know what, I have to get this. Besides, it being a gay main character and all that, was it said the art style is reminiscent of Rama 1/2. Now, I've done a video about Rama 1/2 and how a lot of trans people and non-binary people love the series because they can see themselves in it, and you can see it as kind of a fantasy and all that. And even though the art style doesn't have anything to do with that, Rama 1/2 remains one of my favorites, partly because of the art style. I love the way it looks. I can't separate the way it looks from looking at it and going, oh man, I wish I had that magic water. So it has an art style that's very reminiscent of the 90s, a style you do not see anymore. And I love that. It's also a funny series. It's cute. It's about a gay guy getting closer to another man without ill intentions. There isn't any kind of, I'm going to make him love me, I'm going to sexually harass him. None of that. None. This is sweet. This is pure. I love this. it's not grabbing. The story doesn't grab me the way, some other things have. But God, it's just wholesome. And if you want wholesome, you should probably check this out. Because it's gay, but it's not it's not yaoi. So it's just nice. Not that yaoi is bad, but especially if you happen to be underage, this is a good thing to pick up to find some gay representation. Alright, we're still gay, but kind of different now. My Brother's Husband by Gengoro Tagame. Yeah, Gengoro Tagame. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So this is about a Japanese man with a daughter, a single dad. I think the wife's still alive, just they're not together anymore. And all of a sudden one day, this man's twin brother moved to Canada or the US, either one, and got married, died, and now the Canadian husband is here to meet the family that he's never really known, that he heard his husband talk about, but listen, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's also very simple. My Brother's Husband. It's a interesting look at just how homophobia can basically be taught and learned without malicious intent, without being done on purpose. It's just kind of like, it caught on. Oh, I just, I don't like gay people. I think gay people are going to do bad things because that's what I was told, because that's what I saw. But it's about overcoming those things. Realizing that just because you've heard, oh no, don't let that gay man be around your young child, that's not okay to think. That's not an okay thought to have. And this book definitely makes it clear. Don't hate gay people. There's nothing wrong with being a gay man. There's no reason to not let a gay man be around your children, to not, let him into your house or anything like that. You can't just assume someone's going to do something because they're gay. And so this is a very nice story. It goes into homophobia, addresses the topic, but it also addresses the topic of loss, because the gay man has lost his husband. The main character, the Japanese dad, has lost his brother. They both have to deal with the fact that they lost this man they cared about, that they both loved in very different ways. And they have to deal with that fact, and the fact that they're family means they can deal with it together. But sometimes things lie under the surface, and they don't get brought up until something happens and brings them up. And that's kind of what this is. Now, this is the first volume of 2. I do not own the second one. I need to get it. It's actually available as an omnibus edition that has all of it together, because technically it's 4 volumes. And this volume 1 contains the first 2 volumes. So you can buy a book that says the complete edition, and it'll say it has all 4 volumes. Well, that's because this is 2 volumes, and volume 2 of this is 2 volumes, and 2 plus 2 is 4. Very confusing. But yeah, I do want to get it at some point. It's just kind of been lower on my list because I'm not gay. So I've been trying to find series that I relate to personally more. But I've got plenty of those now. So once I read them and digest all of them, I'm definitely going to go back to this one because it is heartfelt and touching and important. I mean, the back of it has a blurb from Anderson Cooper. How many manga series have a blurb from Anderson Cooper, So yeah. And Alison Bechdel, the creator of the famous Bechdel test. Which, if you don't know about that, Google. I've talked long enough. I don't need to give another 10 minutes about the Bechdel test here. Also, Gengoro Tagame. Very important author to, certain people. I did a video about Baki a long time ago, that a lot of people really don't like, by the way. Maybe because it asks, does liking Baki make you gay? And even though I address in the video that no, it does not make you gay just because you like it, people seem to think that I said it made you gay if you liked it. Because people. Yeah. Anyways, Gengaro Tagame, I mentioned him in that video because he is well known for doing gay erotic art. And you can see, he's good at drawing bears. I mean, this guy, that's a bear. That's like textbook example. Now, nothing in this book is erotic at all. Nothing in here is 18 plus. It has some rating, I'm sure, but I don't even see anything saying like 16. No, it's just, it's just, I don't know if it's quite family friendly because it's a heavy subject matter to address. A 6-year-old probably won't understand necessarily homophobia. But there's nothing in here. Just because the author drew erotic art doesn't mean everything he does is erotic. I think that's a very important topic to discuss. It's also great because he has personal experience. Being a gay man himself, he knows what it is to deal with homophobia, to deal with people looking at you and treating you differently just because you're gay. So yeah, highly recommend this. Very, very good look at what it is to be a gay man, especially in Japan, but it's something that is in every country. Homophobia is everywhere, unfortunately. This may be my most recent acquisition, not quite, but have not read this yet. Haven't even cracked it open. But The Whole of Humanity has gone Yuri. With a title like that, how could I not get it? I love Yuri. I love women loving women. I love seeing girls just, whether it's cute, innocent, or, adult. That's the best way to put it, right? Adult. However it is, I love it. Because I kind of like fantasizing as myself, as one of the women in there. Which, I wish I looked half as good as some of the girls in these manga. But yeah, interesting story. So yeah, normal girl in a normal world, and then she suddenly wakes up in a weird version of the world that's only filled with women. And it says she finds herself questioning what exactly normal means and why it's so important to her. So yeah, I guess everyone's gay here because that's all there is. There's only gay. So will the main character fall in love with another woman? I don't know. I don't know anything about it because I haven't read it yet. But hot damn, doesn't that sound interesting? Oh, it even says, the whole of humanity has gone Yuri, except for me. Well, we'll see how long that lasts, because it doesn't say she's a straight woman. It just says she expects to get married to a man and have a normal life. Yeah, honey, sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and you live something different, and that's just fine. But yeah, so it looks cute. It's a decently sized. It's thick. I'm really looking forward to it because I love Yuri, and it's kind of a sci-fi tale from what I've seen about her trying to figure out how she can go back to her world and all that stuff. And I'm definitely always on the lookout for Yuri series that aren't just slice of life, because I've read so many of those, and I need something a little more story heavy than just, oh, one girl likes another girl, just because I get bored quickly with that kind of stuff. But yeah, so if you've read this, let me know what you think about it. We can share our thoughts, and who knows, maybe it'll be just a fantastic read that I'll remember forever. If not, it will at least feature some pretty illustrations, that's for sure. Alright, I guess it's time for honorable mentions, because these aren't necessarily queer. I have 2 books here. And oh my god, I hope I don't get demonetized. I don't care. J.K. Haru is a sex worker in another world. Now, and this is a sequel short story collection. I actually found this first at a used bookstore, and I was like, okay, well, I have to buy this then to go with it. I had known this existed. This is the actual novel of it. I heard about this series, J.K. Haru. I came across the manga of it. There's a manga adaptation, and I read the first chapter, and I thought, oh my god, I have to talk about this. And I didn't. I just, let other things happen, didn't get around to it. But yeah, it's a fantastic story. So Isekai, the whole being sent to another world thing, it's big. It's been big for a decade now. This is one of the series that looks at that Isekai trope and turns it on its head, because in this, J.K. Haru dies with the classmate getting hit by a bus, get transported to this fantasy world. He gets a great life. He has all this magic and stuff. He can go fight monsters. She doesn't get shit. So she has to work as a sex worker just to survive. And even though she's better able to deal with it than many other people would be, it's still not necessarily what she wants to do. She just doesn't have a choice. She doesn't let it ruin her life because she's not completely, willfully doing it. But she's surviving the only way she can because she didn't get magic powers. So I'm really interested in what the book's going to be like. Haven't read it yet. I've had so many things on my list to read. But I'm really looking forward to it because I like talking frankly about sex because it's something that impacts every single person. Even asexual people like myself, I'm on the asexual spectrum. Sex still impacts us because other people have sex, It's a topic that comes up all the time because for people it comes up, And I love looking at I love taking an idea like the isekai genre of escapism. It's almost pure escapism. I go to another world and I have these amazing powers and I'm awesome. And it examines it from the perspective of, what if it just made life worse for you? So you're in a fantasy world. There's all kinds of magic and stuff, but you can't do magic. You cannot do magic. Well, what happens to you? You don't have the everyday skills that, they don't exist in this world because there are no computers. You just have to get along day to day the way they did hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and you're not used to that. But can you still find happiness? Yes, because people can find ways to be happy, even without, relying on OP skills and, protag strats and all that crap, So I'm very interested in this. Also, I'm definitely sex positive, even if I don't want to have sex with anyone, because frankly, I don't want to have sex with any of you, that's for sure. No offense. But, yeah, I'm good. I'm good on it. I'm still sex positive because no one should be ashamed of having sex. Just like no one should be ashamed of not having sex. It's all fine. It's just do what makes you feel good. Don't hurt other people. But, yeah. So, and at some point I'd like to talk about the manga as well because I'm sure it's a different thing because this is one book. And then this is some short stories. The manga has at least 9 volumes. I'm not even sure how many it has now. So obviously it goes deeper into the story and tells other things. So I'm very interested in that, but gotta read this first. So yeah, if you've read this or heard about this, let me know your thoughts for sure. I'm interested to know. Finally, the last one, I promise, last one. And this is another honorable mention because it's technically not manga. It's, in fact, not even completely, drawn. There are a lot of words, and it uses illustrations. But it's Xgender, a graphic guide. And I have not read this yet. Haven't had time to. I just got it for Christmas from my partner. But it talks about gender as a construct, and it's by queer people. I'm fairly sure, at least, And it's just, it's my kind of topic. It's the kind of topic I can talk about for days, and I will no doubt make a video about this, sharing what it teaches, what comments it makes about all the stuff regarding gender and everything. And oh my god, this is just, this is exactly the kind of thing I want to read. because I want to learn more. I want to get other perspectives, and I want to come to more of an understanding, mostly about how other people view gender and how we can better view gender to make a happier society. Because for me, gender most of the time doesn't make any sense. I'm non binary, so I don't feel like a man, even though a lot of people would look at me and see man. But I don't like having facial hair. I don't like having hair on my arms. And I don't want to do the stereotypical man things. But, like, I'm not even going to list them. Because to me, listing the man things is offensive to any woman that likes doing those things. Like, oh, I don't like sitting and drinking beer. Well, there are women who do that. That's not a man thing. I don't like playing or watching football. Tons of women play and watch football. That's not a man thing, So maybe this book, hopefully, will help me understand a little bit more about, not why I feel the way I feel, but how to look at it and how to address it from different perspectives and how to maybe discuss with other people the way I feel so they can better understand my perspective. And hopefully to help me understand other people's perspectives. Because when I see a person who's proud to be a man or proud to be a woman, I don't quite understand that. If I ever have a thought of like, oh man, I wish I was a woman, I don't know why I have that thought. Why would I want to be a woman? If I'm like, am I unsure about being a woman sometimes? Am I unsure about being a man? It's confusing. Being non-binary is confusing. But that's the entire point, that it's not just a binary, and even gender as a whole should be seen as a spectrum, plain and simple. But even then, maybe we don't need to look at it as a binary spectrum. Anyways, that's a whole mess of a topic that probably warrants its own hour-long video. But yes, definitely looking forward to this. And yeah, it's not manga. These people aren't Japanese. Ooh, but it's illustrated and I don't care. It's my damn video. Yeah. They also have a book called Queer, A Graphic History, which is probably also up my alley. So, gotta check that out at some point too. Alright, that's the video. Thank you so much for staying here for this insane amount of time if you have stayed. If you skipped around, that's fine too. If you had to watch this video in chunks, totally get it. That's how I watch a lot of longer form videos, and I did not expect this to be anywhere near as long as it's been. Clearly, I just have a lot to say, and I own far too many books. My God, I don't even have anywhere to put them anymore. I don't have enough bookshelf space. I need a bookshelf just for my queer books. Because I have my horror books, I have my other manga, I have my Gunpla, which I'm also addicted to. I got problems. They're definitely first world problems, but I still don't have solutions for them. So, yeah. But anyways, if you enjoyed it, then it's worth it. So, yay! And maybe you found something new to read, or something that gives you a chance to see yourself represented in a work, Because that's one of the things we really need in the queer community. We need works with representations of us. And if you have any recommendations for anything, be it manga, comic, graphic novel, TV show, book, anything that has queer representation that you think I should check out, or that you just want to talk about, you want other people to read, share them in the comments. Yeah, I definitely have no problem with people just talking about things they enjoy, even if they're only somewhat related anyways. I just love discussing things people love most of the time. Alright, thank you for watching, and just in case you've been curious about this, I figured I wanted some kind of backdrop. I don't really have a good layout for making these types of videos, so this is a blanket I got recently, and it's Junji Ito, Yawn and Moo, the cat book. It's very cute, not scary at all because it's about him and his cats, but adorably scary, I guess. Look at that. I'm like a weather prompter. I'm not a prompter. Weather guy. I'm picking his nose. Alright, silliness aside, that's Junji Ito. check it out if you like horror. I've made at least one video about Junji Ito's horror manga, and I'd like to make more because it's fantastic. But, I'll see how that goes. If there's any series that I've talked about today you want to see a video about, please let me know. I'm also going to do a poll in the community tab, so go to that and you can vote. I don't know how many options I can list, what the highest number is, but I'll put at least 5. I'll pick about 5 that I think have the highest chance or I'm most likely to make a video about, and I'll try to work on that pretty soon. I've been not busy, but kind of not great the past couple months, which is why I haven't uploaded anything, but I'm getting better. And it's not that anything's been wrong, it's just that it's the weather. Frankly, the weather has been getting colder and darker, and that's been messing with my physical health and my mental health. And it's just, Christmas is a busy time. Whether you celebrate Christmas or something else, December tends to be a very busy time. And I just, let myself fall behind. But hopefully, 2024 will be very different, and I will put out a lot of great videos that a lot of people enjoy. Again, I'm Shaggy. Thank you for watching. And remember, you deserve love, and you are loved. Okay? Don't ever think you're not.